Obinna, please, don't leave me.
Determined not to let her secret slip, Chidinma began developing careful grooming habits. 1. Perfect dressing. She made sure to always wear clothes that hugged her figure just enough to show the curves, but never too tight that would expose the outlines of her padded bra or hip shaper. Gowns, wrappers tied in stylish ways, and blouses with flowing sleeves became her best friends. 2. Controlled distance. Whenever Obinna tried to playfully touch her waist or rest his hand on her shoulder, she would laugh and shift slightly, pretending to be shy. If his hand got too close to her fake bomb, she would quickly distract him with a question or joke to move his attention elsewhere. 3. Evening disguises. She avoided late-night visits or sleepovers at all costs. If Obinna suggested they walk together after dark, she would make excuses like needing to close her shop early or help her mother at home. She knew the padding might become uncomfortable or shift out of place if she stayed too long. 4. Consistent packaging. Every single time she stepped out to see him, whether at Ngozi's house, at her shop, or even just at the market, she made sure to package herself fully. She couldn't afford a single careless day because she knew one slip could ruin everything. 5. Distraction by character. She doubled down on showcasing her good heart. If she felt Obinna's eyes linger too long on her chest or hips, she would quickly change the mood by offering him food, sharing a funny story, or asking about his students. She wanted him to associate her presence not just with her body, but with warmth and kindness. Ngozi, watching her friends' elaborate routines, shook her head many times. Chidinma, this thing you are doing is risky. You can't package forever. One day, Obinna will know the truth. But Chidinma only smiled stubbornly. Ngozi, don't worry. By the time he finds out, it will be too late. He would have already fallen deeply in love with me. And so, with every visit, every careful adjustment of her foam pads, and every sweet word she spoke, Chidinma continued her delicate dance, hiding her secret, while drawing Obinna closer into her world. It was a bright Saturday afternoon, and Ngozi's compound was buzzing with life. A few neighbors had gathered under the mango tree for a casual get-together. Palm wine flowed, laughter rang out, and roasted plantain filled the air with its sweet aroma. Obinna, as usual, was seated among the men, while Chidinma sat nearby, helping Ngozi serve drinks. She wore one of her finest wrappers with her special package, hidden beneath padded bra and foam hips perfectly arranged. She looked radiant, and Obinna couldn't take his eyes off her. As she bent to place a tray of drinks on the table, one of Ngozi's little boys, mischievous and playful, suddenly ran toward her. In his excitement, he grabbed her waist from behind and hugged her tightly. Before Chidinma could react, his tiny hand pressed hard against the side of her foam padding. The pad shifted slightly under her wrapper. "Ah, Auntie, what is inside your cloth?" the boy shouted innocently, patting the spot again. The group of men burst into laughter. Some women nearby craned their necks to see what was happening. Chidinma froze, her heart hammering in her chest. A hot wave of shame swept over her face. She quickly grabbed the boy's hand, forcing a laugh. "Ben, naughty boy, you want to scatter my wrapper. Go and play." She pinched his cheek lightly and sent him running off, but she knew many eyes were still on her. Obinna frowned at the commotion. "Children and their wahala," he said, waving his hand dismissively. "Always disturbing people?" The laughter gradually died down, but Chidinma's palms were wet with sweat. She avoided Obinna's gaze, terrified that he might have noticed something unusual. For the rest of the gathering, she sat stiffly, her smiles forced, her heart pounding. Later that evening, when they were alone by the shop, Obinna looked at her closely. "You seemed uncomfortable earlier. That boy embarrassed you, didn't he?" Chidinma forced a smile, trying to steady her shaky voice. "Ah, don't mind him. Children and their play. I wasn't embarrassed at all." Obinna nodded slowly, still looking at her. Then he reached for her hand gently. "Don't worry. Even if the whole world laughs, I will never laugh at you." Chidinma's throat tightened. Relief and guilt crashed over her at the same time. She smiled back at him, but in her heart she whispered, "If only you knew the truth, Obinna. If only you knew." A few weeks after the incident with Ngozi's little boy, Chidinma's relationship with Obinna had grown warmer. He now visited her provision shop almost every evening after school, sitting with her as she attended to customers. Their closeness was no longer a secret. The whole street had accepted that the two were an item. One hot afternoon, Obinna stopped by unexpectedly. Chidinma had just returned from the market and was still sweating from carrying heavy bags. She had quickly tied a wrapper over her clothes, but hadn't properly fixed her padding underneath. "Chidinma," Obinna called cheerfully, walking into the shop. "You look tired. Let me help you arrange these things." Before she could protest, he dropped his bag and began lifting cartons of milk and biscuits. Chidinma's heart raced. She hadn't adjusted her fake bonbon well, and the pad was already slipping slightly under her wrapper. She tried to keep her distance, but Obinna, eager to help, moved closer. At one point, as he bent to lift a carton, his arm brushed against her hip and he froze for a split second. The spot felt unusually stiff, almost like foam. Chidinma's blood turned cold. Obinna looked up at her with a curious expression. You're wearing something under your wrapper?" Her throat tightened. She forced a laugh. "Ah, it's just my waist wrapper. I doubled it because of the heavy loads from the market. You know how women do." Obinna blinked, then chuckled. "Ayan, no wonder. You women and your style." He went back to arranging the goods, but Chidinma's hands were trembling as she folded sachets of detergent. When he finally left, she collapsed into her chair, clutching her chest. "Chinika, that was close, very close. If he had pressed harder, he would have known the truth." That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept turning on her mat, whispering to herself, "How long will I keep hiding? What if on our wedding night he discovers everything? Will he hate me? Will he leave me?" For the first time, the weight of her secret felt unbearable. It was a calm evening, the sky painted with streaks of orange as the sun dipped behind the palm trees. Chidinma was in her shop, restocking biscuits on the shelves, when Obinna walked in. Unlike other days, he wasn't smiling. His face was serious, almost nervous. "Chidinma," he said softly, "can I talk to you outside?" Her heart skipped. She quickly wiped her hands on her wrapper and followed him to the front of the shop. The street was quiet, with only a few children playing in the distance. Obinna turned to her, his tall frame towering over her slim figure. For a moment, he simply looked at her, as though searching for the right words. "You know," he began, his voice steady but tender, "since I moved to this village, many things have happened, but one of the best things is meeting you." Chidinma's breath caught in her throat. "At first, I thought you were just Ngozi's friend, someone I'd greet politely and move on. But the more I spent time with you, the more I realized..." You are different. You are kind. You are hardworking. You are real. Her eyes welled up with tears. She tried to look away, afraid her emotions might betray her. People gossip, I know, he continued, but I don't care about what they say. I care about what I see, and what I see is a woman I want by my side. He took a deep breath, his eyes soft but firm. Chidinma, I love you, and if you'll let me, I want to build a life with you. The words hung in the air, heavy yet beautiful. Chidinma felt her knees weaken. This was what she had dreamed of Obinna, the man she admired, finally declaring his love. But instead of pure joy, a storm of fear rose inside her. She forced a smile, her padded chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. Obinna, she whispered, her voice trembling. You mean all this? Yes, he said firmly, taking her hand. I mean every word. Chidinma's tears spilled over. She wanted to say yes immediately, to throw her arms around him and claim the happiness she had been denied for so long. But deep inside, her conscience screamed, "He loves you for who you are. But what if he finds out the truth about your body? Will he still love you then?" That night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling, torn between two worlds. One was filled with love, joy, and Obinna's warm embrace. The other was dark, heavy with the fear of exposure. For the first time, Chidinma realized that catching a man was one thing, but keeping him on the foundation of lies was another. And now that love was on the line, her secret felt like a ticking time bomb. The very next evening, Obinna returned to Chidinma's shop. His eyes carried that same warmth, that same sincerity that had melted her the day before. Chidinma's heart was pounding, but she knew she could not keep him waiting any longer. She took a deep breath, wiped her sweaty palms on her wrapper, and whispered, "Obinna, I've thought about what you said. And yes, I love you too." Obinna's face broke into a wide smile, his dimples deepening. He stepped closer, holding her hand tightly. "You don't know how happy I am to hear this." Chidinma smiled, but it was a smile wrapped in fear. Her heart wanted to dance, yet her conscience tugged hard at her. As he held her hand, she could feel sweat forming on her back, not from the evening heat, but from the thought, if only he knew the truth, if only he knew what I hide beneath these clothes. From that day forward, they became known in the village as a couple. Obinna walked her home from the shop in the evenings, and sometimes they shared roasted corn or suya under the mango tree. To outsiders, they were a picture of young love, radiant and enviable. But Chidinma lived in constant fear. When Obinna reached out to hug her tightly, she would stiffen slightly, worried his hand might press too firmly against her padded bra or foam hips. When he joked about one day swimming at the stream together, she quickly changed the topic, afraid water would expose her secret. When he admired her figure and teased, "See as you carry shape," she forced a laugh, but her stomach twisted in knots. At night, lying on her mat, she replayed every moment in her head. The love she had always dreamed of was finally hers, yet she couldn't enjoy it fully. Fear stalked her like a shadow. Even Ngozi noticed. One evening, she pulled Chidinma aside. "My friend, I can see you're happy, but I also see you're restless. Your eyes betray you. Are you sure you can continue like this?" Chidinma bit her lip, tears stinging her eyes. "Ngozi, I can't lose him. If I tell him the truth, maybe he will leave me. I would rather carry this burden than watch him walk away." Ngozi sighed, shaking her head. Chidinma, love built on fear will not last. One day, the truth will come out, whether you like it or not." Chidinma said nothing. Deep inside, she knew Ngozi was right. But for now, she clung tightly to the fragile happiness Obinna had given her, even if it meant living every day with trembling hands and a pounding heart. After Chidinma accepted Obinna's love, their bond only deepened. They became inseparable. Villagers now saw them walking together to evening markets, attending church side by side, and sharing quiet moments in front of her shop. Obinna was not a man of empty words. He backed his love with actions. He introduced Chidinma to his friends not just as a woman he liked, but as someone special to him. He helped out at her shop whenever he could, showing he respected her hard work. He defended her openly, shutting down gossip with his bold confidence. To Chidinma, it felt like she was finally living the dream every woman in the village longed for. People no longer mocked her the way they once did. Now, they whispered in surprise, wondering how Ugly Chidinma had captured the heart of such a fine man. But with each step forward, Chidinma's fear grew heavier. Because now, Obinna wasn't just a man she was catching, he was becoming her future. One quiet evening under the mango tree, Obinna looked into her eyes and said the words that shook her to her core. "Chidinma, I don't want to waste time. I've prayed about this, and I want you to be my wife." Her heart leapt. This was what she had always wanted. Yet, in that very moment, her fear multiplied. Marriage meant closeness, intimacy, no hiding. Marriage meant Obinna would one day see everything, the real her. Still, she forced a smile, nodding slowly. "Obinna, marriage is a big step. Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything," he replied firmly. "I want to build a home with you." The seriousness of his love made the marks of their relationship increase each new commitment, each new promise, each step toward marriage raised the stakes. Chidinma was no longer just faking her body to attract him. Now she was faking it to keep him for life. At night she lay awake, whispering to herself, "If he finds out before the wedding, I lose everything. But if I marry him, maybe by then his love will be too deep to let me go." The wedding talks began quietly. Obinna spoke to his family, and Chidinma's family started preparing in their hearts. The villagers buzzed with excitement and shock. But in Chidinma's heart, joy and fear danced together like fire and water, each fighting for control. The wedding was only weeks away. Both families had begun the traditional preparations, and the whole village buzzed with excitement. Some still whispered mockingly behind closed doors, but most had come to respect the love Obinna showed so openly. To the outside world, Chidinma was glowing with joy, but inside, her heart raced faster with every passing day. Each time Obinna held her, each time he admired her shape, the fear of being exposed burned hotter in her chest. And then it happened. One stormy evening, Obinna stopped by her shop just as the clouds burst into heavy rain. Thunder cracked the sky and water poured down in sheets. Chidinma quickly pulled down the shop shutters, and Obinna insisted on helping her carry goods inside. "Let's wait out the rain together," he said, smiling. The shop was cramped and humid. Water trickled down Chidinma's neck, soaking her wrapper. She laughed nervously, trying to dry herself with a small towel, but the wet fabric clung to her body. Without thinking, Obinna stepped closer and tried to help. He reached for her waist to steady her as she bent to lift a carton. But his hand pressed against her hip, and instead of flesh, he felt something stiff and unnatural. He paused, his brow furrowed. He pressed lightly again. This time, the foam shifted. Chidinma froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Obinna pulled back sharply, staring at her with wide, confused eyes. Chidinma, what is this? The rain thundered louder, as though the heavens themselves were listening. Her lips trembled. She tried to laugh it off. It's nothing, Obinna, just wrapper, double wrapper. But Obinna's hand shot out, lifting the edge of her damp cloth. And there, to his shock, he saw it the thick foam padding strapped tightly around her hips and waist. His eyes widened in disbelief. What? What is this? He demanded, his voice breaking. Tears welled in Chidinma's eyes instantly. She dropped to her knees, clutching at his leg, sobbing. Obinna, please, don't hate me. I only did it because of you. I heard you say you wanted a woman with shape. I thought if I showed you this, you would love me. Please forgive me. Obinna stepped back, his chest heaving. His mind spun. The woman he loved, the woman he wanted to marry, had built everything on a lie. He turned his face to the rain, struggling between anger and the memory of her kindness, her laughter, her good heart. But the weight of betrayal pressed hard on him. Chidinma, still weeping on the wet floor, whispered again and again, I love you, Obinna. I didn't mean to deceive you. I was afraid you would never look at me if you knew the truth. The rain poured harder, drowning the village in thunder, as silence stretched between them, love and lies, hanging heavy in the storm. The storm raged on, thunder splitting the skies, while Chidinma remained on her knees, weeping. Her carefully guarded secret lay bare before the man she loved. The foam padding, damp and pathetic, clung to her like evidence of betrayal. Obinna stood silently, his jaw clenched, his heart torn. He had never imagined this. He remembered every laugh they shared, every evening she waited for him, every kindness she had shown to Ngozi's children, every sacrifice she made for her little provision shop. He saw her good character, the real woman behind the foam. Finally, he exhaled deeply and knelt beside her. His voice was soft but steady. Chidinma, you made a mistake. You shouldn't have hidden this from me. It hurts because love built on lies is dangerous. Chidinma sobbed harder, clutching his hand. I was afraid, Obinna. Afraid that if you saw me as I truly am, you would never love me. I didn't mean to deceive you. I only wanted a chance to be seen. Obinna lifted her chin gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. Chidinma, from the beginning, it wasn't your body that drew me. It was your heart, your strength, the way you care for others, the way you light up a room with your laughter. That is what I fell in love with. Her tears flowed like rivers, but now they carried relief. He pulled the wet padding from her wrapper and tossed it aside. You don't need this. I want you. The real you. Chidinma broke into fresh sobs, this time of gratitude. She buried her face in his chest, whispering, Thank you, Obinna. Thank you for loving me. The rain slowly eased, as though the heavens themselves had softened. The wedding. Weeks later, despite whispers from the villagers about the foam scandal, Obinna stood proudly with Chidinma at their wedding. He paid no attention to mocking eyes. To him, she was his bride, his partner, his gift from God. When the priest declared them husband and wife, Obinna held her hand tightly, as though making a silent vow. No foam, no lies, nothing would ever separate them. And though Chidinma sometimes winced in shame at the memory of her deception, Obinna's love reassured her every day. His acceptance healed wounds she had carried all her life. Together, they built a home filled with laughter, respect, and peace. Their story became a quiet lesson in the village that beauty may fade, appearances may deceive, but good character outlives everything. And so, despite her fears and mistakes, Chidinma found the happiness she had longed for. She and Obinna lived truly and deeply, happily ever after.
If you enjoyed this video, don't just stop here. Hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our new uploads. Thank you so much for watching. Your love and your support means the world to me. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Stay tuned, more exciting videos are coming your way. Much love always.